When I met Jesus Christ, he was almost 10 years old, and he was helping his mother push a trolley full of all they owned. And because they couldn't find an inn they could get in, they were heading to the city and leaving Bethlehem. Couldn't you perform a miracle? I'm out of them, he said. I tried turning nothing into warmth, but it just made my mother cry. It just made my mother cry. Mary Magdalene has become a man, and tonight he's old, and she has been riding my tram. Now it's late and she's trying to sleep beneath the poster for a bank. Your dreams are important to us, as it bathes her face in gold. Come give us your natural gifts, we make wealth from toil. Come pretend for history's page that we're advancing Australia fair. Let's pretend that we're all advancing Australia fair. Back down the road I found the church we built on the black man's bones was empty, and out the front a sign read all but sold. A sign read all but sold. And we all owe so much money, but to whom we're not quite sure. So head down, we just keep running along our fading golden shores. So head down, we just keep running along our fading golden shores. Come give us your natural gifts, we make wealth from toil. Come pretend for history's page that we're advancing Australia fair. Let's pretend that we're all advancing Australia fair.
Okay, here we are, and either the times are wrong or we've been stood up.
we could have a time issue, but we'll see.
Yeah, so we've reached out to him. Dr. Cartland's supposed to be joining us. Miley's joining us at 8:45 and 8:45 Sydney time. But we'll wait here. While we're waiting for Dr. Cartland, he's not here at the moment. Why don't we talk about what we were talking about the other night? Epstein. I mean, it's just nuts. So do you want to lead the way? What have you been seeing that's just getting you going?
Well, it's indescribable, really. The words beef jerky, grape soda, and pizza will never be the same again.
So they're the code words for people who are not watching. They're the code words they believe are in the files for human flesh, especially the flesh or the blood of children.
Yeah. I mean, we always said it was a spiritual war, among other things. But the sacrifice of innocence, it really goes beyond the pale. And there's been so many pages released, and so many people are being revealed, and you can't help thinking, when are the arrests starting? When are the consequences happening? Because one of the things about the last 5 years is that it's become really clear to me that there is a class of people who are above the law. You know,
Yeah,
they
100%.
they can literally kill and eat your child, and there's nothing you can do about it because they're in the protected class. They can do all the COVID human rights abuses and fear campaigns and poisoning, and they don't face any reckoning, not yet. And yeah, it's a very curious that it's finally come out now, you know, as a result of a court order. But surely this is it's going to infuriate people when they finally grok what is going on, you know, what has been going on all around us. And it's not just in America, it's not just in the UK, it's in Australia, it's in Canada.
We have
it's
the page. Remember the 29 pedophiles that the names haven't been released because the public would lose confidence? No, we just lose 29 pedophiles. We'd be fine. You know. So there's, you know, so it's been going on, but it really, it defies almost human logic, doesn't it? It's literally like you're dealing with vampires or something like that. It's, you know, it doesn't make
it's
sense.
worse than them. It's like it's worse than them. I remember watching vampire movies when I was a kid, and you know, vampires were terrifying, but that's nothing compared to these people.
Yeah,
they're worse than vampires.
Yeah,
you know, because they're preying on the innocent.
Yeah,
The most innocent of innocent. You know, it's outright satanic.
Yeah.
You know, I heard a new term today, Michael.
What's that?
A pedivore.
A what?
A pedivore. So
pedo.
like a carnivore.
Oh my
meat
God.
Eater. So they're children eaters. So they're satanic pedivores. You know.
Yeah.
And I think yesterday I was saying I was watching a podcast, and the initial title was "Make Babies, Don't Eat Them." So
Yeah, I've seen that.
you know, yeah.
But can we always go back to one thing though? So one thing I saw, this is what people are saying, and this is what I'm trying to understand. What are we actually seeing? Are we being played? Is it, you know, just trying to have a bit of discernment because it's so outrageous. It's easily have a knee-jerk reaction and go, you know. So first off, they're talking about Ellen DeGeneres, whatever her name is, and they're saying she's the most prolific pedophile, and they're supposed to eat them to make them look younger. Well, it hasn't worked for her. I mean, she just looks like an old, worn-out lesbian. Let's be honest, and which is what she is. And then you're just thinking, she said she introduced eating children's flesh to Epstein. And I was thinking, how the fuck would that conversation take place? I mean, if I'm sitting there, you know, we're sitting there, you know, when I go to your place and we're sitting there, we've had a few chuffs and we're looking around at the view, and then suddenly Paul, you know, into sort of interesting culinary delights, you know, thinking, you know, maybe, you know, like, you know, how would you do it? Because surely if someone said to me, have you ever considered eating children? I'd be like, what the fuck? You know, just, it's not in my, it's just not in there. I wouldn't have a place for it. It'd rattle around my brain trying to find a place.
It's not in the lexicon of 99.99% of humanity,
That's right.
but there is that 0.1 or 0.01 or whatever percent of humanity that actually engage in this, and they're not compatible with our society. You know, it's not like something that can be left to stand. You know, it's like knowing this. You know, so maybe you're saying they're playing us. I think they are playing us because they're sort of like going, yeah, we eat your children. So what? You know, watch us. You know, and if you get angry, well, that's good, because then we can put on our next phase, which we're all ready for. Central bank digital currencies, 15-minute cities, complete surveillance and control grid. Go on. We dare you. Get angry. Take action. We'll. That's what we want. So we're in a bit of a double bind, because we can't not let it. We can't not respond as a species, but at the same time, my concern is that they're expecting us to respond, and then they'll pull out their Patriot Act Mark II with the 15-minute cities, the central bank digital currencies, the complete control grid, and complete authoritarian control, which they're just itching to do anyway.
Okay, Christian. Yeah, I just have a few other little questions. Right, there's a picture of Prince Andrew, and he's on the ground. He's on top of someone. He looks up the camera. He's smiling. Now, say you were married, Paul, and you and I went to Vegas, and we get a hotel room because we had a big win, and we get some. I'm not saying this ever happened. I'm just theorizing. When we get some girls around, whether they're paid for or whether we just got lucky, and you're on the ground on top of some woman, and I take your picture. Now, I'm betting that the first thing you will say to me, delete that photo. I don't want that photo getting out. I want it. Show me. I want to see. I want to make sure it's not in the trash. But Prince Andrew is going like, put it out there. Who's going to see it? My mum, she knows I'm a pedo. I mean, I don't believe Prince Andrew would, and even Bono, there's a picture of Bono, and he's in a spa with two young women smiling. I think Bono would go, get me that camera now. He wouldn't pose for that. And so there's just a few little things that are like too good to be true. If it was a secret thing of Bono in a room, I'm not saying that didn't happen. I'm just trying to sort of be balanced and actually look at the evidence, because there was one today of a little girl sitting on a stair, and she like all upset and this, and they're saying Epstein Island, but she doesn't say anything you can understand. And it's only for a few seconds. So it could be a little girl sitting on the stairs anywhere, just be saying it's from Epstein Island. So I don't know. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just a little bit super cautious that
I get it.
Too much honey.
We're also at a moment where we're saying with AI and everything, how can we trust any photo? How can we trust
even video,
any video, any photo? But if you've been following the space for a little while, you're aware that this preceded AI. This has been going on for the longest time. There have been plenty of stories of people who came out and were videoed even years ago going, I remember I saw this video of this distressed woman out in public going, they're eating children, and she disappeared after that, never to be seen again. It's not just started now, and there's been other stories today. I was hearing a recording of Dan Bongiorno, who was the deputy FBI director from a few years ago, before he got the job, and he was talking about a Secret Service agent who was, given the gig to go with former President Clinton to on a flight to, with Jeffrey Epstein, and he saw the little children, the young girls on the plane, and he saw Clinton go off to the back of the aircraft, and when it landed, he went to his supervisor and said, "I'm not getting back on that plane." Yeah. And they organized transfer. And this is Dan Bongiorno, who now more recently was deputy director of the FBI, who said, "Oh no, Epstein definitely killed himself. I read the file, and he looks like he's a deer in headlights." But
just letting you know, Dr. Cartland has sent through something, and the time, we thought it was 10 hours, but apparently it must be longer. So the time difference, we thought it'd be 11 o'clock there. Now it's only 10:15 or something. So he might jump on. So there's a time difference. He hasn't stood us up. There's a time difference problem. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We think it's 1984.
Oh, that's another thing. Just freedom here. This is another thing. So you're telling me Bono, who basically has sung some of the greatest anthems of his decade. Let's be honest. You two, you know, he, he's going to take that iconic status, everything he's achieved, and throw it all away so that he can eat babies or whatever he.
No, I
I
think
just
it's the other way around, Michael. I think it's the other way around. I'm beginning to wonder if anyone who's anyone in entertainment or politics or
yeah
the legal profession or politics haven't been itching to join. You look at the Epstein files and they go, there are people lining up to join the gravy train, to join the club
I
because,
get that.
because they want to be part of this. They want to be part of this untouchable elite that can literally do anything. And if you can engage in eating human flesh and killing of innocent and torturing of innocents, you can do anything, and this is literally.
That's right, Ken.
It's not that they were successful and then they lined up. I think we really have to think of anyone who's been successful in the arts or politics or in any branch of our society, and really question. I think we're riddled. This is like a cancer that's riddling our society, and we're in this bind because we cannot not act. But if we do act, it's like aggressive chemotherapy that could kill the host at the same time.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too, I think all of us are in shock because Epstein, fair enough. Bill Gates, look, we could see he could be dodgy. But you think someone like, say, Tom Hanks, who's done Philadelphia, Forrest Gump, anything him? I mean, I saw a video of him where he's like showing off his knackers in a party. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, he's very famous. He's dressed up, got pissed, did it. I can understand that. He's a bloke. But torturing little children to death, torturing them so they get the adrenochrome, the adrenaline goes into their body. You're thinking, and the same with Bono, even you're thinking, am I really that bad a judge of character that I'm looking at these people, yet they're capable of something worse than literally every serial killer we've ever heard of? You know what I mean? And he just, like the story, I think, from Hillary Clinton is that she, and warning, is that she sliced off this girl's face while the little girl was still alive and then put it on her own face and looked down the little girl who had you're thinking, seriously? It sounds like the imagination of just a sick imagination. But is this how the world actually works? Are we actually waking up to the reality that we're like sheep who think, like if you go to Fremantle, they used to have the sheep live trade, and you'd see the sheep getting on the boats. And I always used to think that if there'd be sheep in the abattoir trucks going up, and then they'd see the ship, and then I'd be a sheep, you'd be a sheep, and you're saying they're going to kill us, and I turn to you and go, and you said they're going to kill us. Look, we're going to Bali, and but it's actually worse because they're gonna do it for this. So it's like that, and I'm afraid. I'm realizing I am not, if it's true, then I am naive to a level that I'm almost irrelevant. You know what I mean?
In some ways, you're right. It's a lot to take in, and we'll think about how we've been prepared over the last 5 years as a conspiracy theorist. There's been one thing after another which we thought, no, certainly they're not. They're saying it's safe and effective. They're saying it's deadly. They're telling us the virus is deadly. They're telling us the masks work. They're lie after lie after
Yeah.
lie
100%.
after lie. And I remember in 2021, we've spoken about this in the past, and I've said, like, I think it's not so much the Chinese, Russians versus Americans versus Australians versus Europe. It's not that sort of level of war. This war is the 99.999% versus that 0.001% who live on a different level to the rest of us.
Yeah.
That's what it appears to be. And they've been used to being able to get away with literally anything, and in their hubris, they thought that they're untouchable, because all the evidence showed that they were untouchable to them, and they still can scarcely believe that even now they're at any threat, But I think it's their hubris that will lead to their undoing. And what I said in 2021, I remember I was sitting there by a fire. I remember exactly. It was at my friend Plumman's birthday party in May 2021. And I was telling everyone I saw, I said, have you heard of ivermectin? And no one had heard of ivermectin. I was like, oh, yeah, you've got to hear about ivermectin. It's just some amazing treatment for COVID. You don't need to be fearful. And I remember sitting there and thinking, wow, this is the war, but it's not a war that anyone can see. It's the most bizarre. If you thought it was anything like World War II or World War I or any war of the past, no, this is a war on humanity. By something that is so non-human from the perspective of the vast majority, that they might as well be aliens. They might as well be. They might as well be full-blown satanic pedophiles. And I remember at the time, I had a blessing or curse, was that I could see this evil. It wasn't clear to me at the time, but I started to see the outline, the rough outlines of this evil entity, even back in 2021, and that's what compelled me to act. Even though I didn't have a clear view of it, and how I feel now about the Epstein file release is it's crisp. It's 2020 now. A few years ago I was saying to you, no, we just have to lock up all the people with private jets. We'll find the ones that are psychopaths. If we rid humanity of the psychopaths, especially the ones with their own private jets, we'll cut enemy activity by 99%. And that was a first approximation of what I was trying to talk about. Now I feel like, hell, we've got names. we've got names. We've got dates. We've got a record, but we've still got institutions which are corrupt, which are not making any effort yet to because they're strewn through all our institutions. This is how you get things like Miley and prosecution, and David Cartland's prosecution, and Mark prosecution, and This is the war. No, this is the war. I think it's wonderful in a way. It's wonderful.
If it's true, because darkness fears the light. So this is what I'm writing in my arguments. Darkness fears the light, and there's no brighter light than the truth, and we have to keep searching for it. But you're just in disbelief because you're thinking that they should all have a trial, and they should have a trial, and then they should be, if they're guilty, they should be executed. And people I know one of Trump's speakers, that woman speaks to him, said we should move on from Trump now. If we arrested everyone there, the whole system would fall apart. Well, let the system fall apart. We can't build a system on just abusing and killing and eating children. I'm sorry, none of us want to live in that system. So we're quite happy to to start again. You know, the other thing too is like they're talking about all these children that go missing, but in Australia you can almost count the children who've gone missing. No, there's Tyrrell, the little Spider-Man costume. There was Daniel up in Queensland, who, you know, his parents searched him for ages, killed by a random pedo. There's the little kid at the moment whose grandfather is now a woman, and they're saying that's all a bit strange. But like the Beaumont children, you know, there's a few that go missing, but they're talking thousands, and then you're thinking, well, they must be getting them from the third world, or they must be getting it from really impoverished countries, because where are they getting all these children from, and why isn't somebody counting out? Remember the Belgian pedophile that had the girls in the basement? They died in the basement. It was a horrific case. And when he was in jail, the people who were supposed to look after him didn't feed them. So I remember just in despair thinking how horrible it was. But like now they're mentioning Madeleine McCann. You know, was she? And
I suspect the numbers are much higher. If it's real, and I believe it is, I'll posit that it is. I think you'll find that there are many more missing than we've been led to believe. Yeah. I saw mixed comment here. Psychopaths are fun. Yeah, they probably are 1 in 100, maybe even more common.
I saw one. They had a study once. 1 in 7. I saw 1 in 7.
Well,
like that. That was an old study, but I don't know if it's true or not.
Look, my understanding is that that there's about 1 in 100, roughly. It could be a bit higher in some studies, and depending on how you define it. But to me, they're the enemy, you know. And you might say, look, it's no fault of their own. They were abused themselves. They were damaged, you know, and then, you know, the cycle of abuse. And I get that. I think that's.
It says here on Grok, they reckon it's about 1 to 1.5%.
Yeah, so
some of it goes up to 4% of the population. The other thing, have you considered, Paul, that if this is true, and it seems to be true, and Australia at the moment is the second largest consumer of child porn, if it's true, then could these people who are so well protected, the satanic stuff, that they are protected by the devil? Like, you know, if you're prepared to do this, you're prepared to go this far, you will have a charmed life. We will protect you. You become ultra famous. You become this, you know. And so, because there's so many people now who are famous, and you look at them and going, why are you famous? Why do you know, you're not that attractive. And I don't want to mention names, so I don't want to come back, but you know, you just, I don't know. I wonder if it's
I will say that even if you say 1 in 100 people lack the normal levels of empathy, you know. We know that I'm not talking about 1 in 100 people who have private jets, who have great power, who are known in entertainment and in politics and in, you know, hold positions of power in politics and the courts. No, it's. I think the real target, like I say, they're people we all know.
I'm just going to put one up. Yeah. Go ahead, Paul.
I think it's not. It's not really 1%. I think it's a fraction of a percent that are in this protected class. That are really that really engage in this.
Yeah.
It may be 1 in 1,000, maybe 1 in 10,000. But imagine if imagine if we got rid of those 1 in 1,000 out of humanity. You know, would we be better off? And
I'll start, babe.
We would be better off.
I just want to read this. Estimates by the Justice US say between 460,000 and 800,000 children go missing in the States each year, according to Google. I mean, 800,000. Now, you know, might have a lot end up on the streets of Los Angeles. You know, they have the huge homeless problem and homeless everywhere, but that's a lot of people, you know,
That's a lot of children.
it's a
That's a
lot
lot,
of children.
not just
That's
people,
like
children.
almost 12 MCGs full of children. I mean, it's staggering. And so, where are the parents of these kids?
Missing, missing. You know, so that's the
Yeah,
thing. You know, if we let, if there isn't a response to this, if this isn't ended, then we're living in a society which basically says we tolerate your children being taken and sacrificed to these satanic pedophiles. I
well,
just don't.
my dad chauffeured you two straight to the plane door with customs and the police to make sure they left the country. They're druggies as well as as well. The band was banned from Australia for 10 years. Bono is a prick. Okay, there's hearsay, but I I saw a meme today. There's someone screaming at the head of the FBI and going, "Why aren't you arresting people?" You know, and this is where the world is. I mean, I haven't seen anyone defending it, but fuck, you know.
Yeah, I remember when we did a no go show in Melbourne a few years ago,
Yeah,
and they were doing tranny story time at the
that's
library,
correct.
and they were paying the police who were protecting this activity if they are identified as LGBTQIA alphabet plus minus Q Z
Yeah,
epsilon, that they would get a special, they would get an extra money allowance for identifying it. They got paid for it, and they would, their job was to stand there and prevent backlash from. And I remember I said on stage, you know, this is grooming.
yeah.
This is grooming. And I remember the time it came out of my mouth, it was like, can I say that? You know, but it's absolutely grooming. You know, it's absolutely, it's part of,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
again, it's there have been shades of this evil all through the last few years.
yeah,
Uh, I think what we're seeing now is we're really going to have to, as a species, decide: are we okay with having these so-called elites, which I can't call them elites. You know, I think we should
no,
call them by their true name. You
yeah,
know, satanic pedophiles.
yeah.
You know, and there's no place. There's no place in human society for that. You know, it's such an abomination to. I don't care what religion you belong to. You just have to.
Yeah.
You know, speak about crimes against humanity. How does it get any more? How does it get any more florid than this? You know,
Christopher. Yes, sorry, keep going, Paul. I was just this astonishing comment. Yeah, keep going, mate.
apparently there's not enough cattle in America to supply tomatoes. Yeah, I've heard that there are sausages and that they found human DNA in the meat supply.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, they're trying to. It's just all so fucked up. It's just
This
so
is Martin Taylor.
fucked up.
Vanished without a trace, 2023, 63 kids, 2024, 132 new cases. That's Australia. I wonder why those 63 kids, Martin, and the 132 cases, I wonder why they don't make the news like, you know, these other children, you know, do they just, you know, these few children that went missing just, and then you also get to the courts. You know, did you see that the pedophiles get off pretty easily? They get quite staggered. How you know the court cases, the convictions they get. You're thinking, you know, the sentencing is like very lenient. They're protected. You know, when they go, it's
Yeah, you've got in the UK, if you complain that the children of UK are being raped by the illegal immigrants,
yeah, the
if
Pakistani
you do,
ones,
if you
you know?
they're not grooming, they're raping gangs. Grooming is a euphemism because they don't want you to describe what is actually going on.
Yeah,
They're foreign nationals, mostly men, who have been imported in military age men who have come in great numbers and are raping the Western women, you know, and if you talk about it or tweet about it, you become they get the higher sentences. They get the higher sentences than the perpetrators.
that's right.
And that tells you all you need to know about what's going on in our courts and our legal system. You know, you have people like David Cartland, who's been talking about what he's been seeing in his practice in his country, talking science, you know, just talking science, pointing out the hypocrisy and the lies of the narrative around COVID, and he's facing now with the barring a worse crime than a child molester or you know, child killer. You know, and this is a good man. So a good man who has done nothing but stand to protect the children, you know, and protect the pregnant women. So I don't know. I think people see that. I think humanity sees that, and I I, I think we're rising up. I think we are rising up. The first step is to actually get your head around just what a bad state humanity is in. What is the nature of this war, and who are the real enemy that we need to. But you know, remember, a few years ago, you interviewed me on my veranda at Bondi, and I was saying all our paradigms are going to break down, Michael. You know, all the stories, all the myths are going to dissolve, and we're going to be in a period of just not knowing what. There's nothing to grab onto, and actually, that's not quite true. I think you have to grab onto love. You have to grab onto compassion. You have to grab onto care. You have to grab onto protection of your loved ones and your family and your children and your pregnant women. You have to grab onto truth, you know, which is the informed consent part of the Lighthouse Declaration. You have to grab onto free speech, because without it, we're lost. You know, humanity is lost, and this is why the censorship part is so heinous, because over the last few years, when I've been heavily censored, and I'm pretty censored now, even though I just suck.
Same, brother.
It's hard to know. Maybe I just suck, but I'm like so. But you know, it's a bit like a little death when you disappear like that, and you're not dead, but no one can hear you. It's, you know, censorship it's like preparation for death, you know, because first they remove your voice. Yeah, it should bring down the monarchy. You know, I remember I straight away I said, not my king. I refused to own any coins with his image on it because he disgusts me.
Oh, look at this. Can't like and share on X anymore. Isn't that amazing? You know, sometimes we can't even find the interviews on X, you know?
Yeah. I'm familiar with censorship. We've been facing this for a few years.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Why now? Do you see, if we were satanic pedophiles, we would have several million followers. We would be rolling in. If only we could bring ourselves to sort of eat the human flesh and innocence. You know, we could get so many likes. I mean, you know.
Well, I'm on the carnivore diet, but that's about as far as I go. You know, stop at cows. You know. So there's but I just want to bring up something different. This was the funniest thing I've seen on Twitter all week. This is a new number plate for Victoria. Have you seen this?
Victoria gangster state. I like that.
We're fucked. Yeah. It's I mean, look at what's happening. I mean, look there. That it's come out now. It's all over the internet that the real story of what happened with the stairs came out really early and everyone ignored it. You know, there's the CEO, apparently Dan Andrews was, you know, doing something with his daughter or his friend or his daughter's friend or something, and he got a severe kicking, and then went down the stairs, and then he vanished for 3 months. So all that thing with the back thing, allegedly that must have been a lie. So they knew what was happening. There's even a suggestion that some of the lockdowns went further simply to protect him. Then he's got the bike boy scandal, which is clearly dodgy as all crap. Then they got apparently he's also linked allegedly to the machete bin bullshit, and that is just an absolute outrage. It's just, you know, 350 million for those few bins. F off. And then they and now $15 billion has just vanished. They don't know where it is, and they reckon it's more than that, and it's going to gangsters. And then you're suddenly thinking, and he's still there, and he's not arrested. And you're thinking, so this is a protected man.
He's one of that class, you know. So is Jacinda Ahern in New Zealand. You know, we can see them, you know, and we know.
Right. You know.
Yeah, we know who they are.
Oh, Mark Newberg got a news on Facebook. I got to call him to find out why. Then, so we got that. So he is like he's protected. No one arrests him, and so
no one arrests any of them.
No one arrests. And then in England, they've got the you know, basically the gang rape groups who are just raping white women. Apparently, there was one court case where 3 of them were in there, 3 migrants or something, and they actually said this is what white women are for raping, and so they're. And then the government comes out and votes overwhelmingly not to do an inquiry into it. Overwhelmingly. And they're like, oh, happy, yeah, but these are your daughters. And then they persecute that beautiful. Did you see the one with the axe and the knife in the street in Scotland? You know, there she is with an axe and a knife trying to protect her friend because these guys are harassing them. And they arrest her. They arrest her. So you're thinking, how can the police do it? How can, as a police officer, I couldn't do it. I'm not going to arrest a little girl who's trying to protect herself from being raped. Are you kidding me? I couldn't do it. And yet they're finding coppers that do. They turn up at the door and say, I'm really sorry. You're not allowed to have a knife in the thing. So maybe once you've been raped several times, call the police so we can tell you none of our business. You know, and that's the moral way to go forward. Seriously. I mean, it's just bonkers. Even the machete bin thing. They really think these Sudanese or Somalian kids, and apparently there's lots of kids with them, but let's focus on those, are really going to go, oh, you don't want me cutting off people's arms and legs? You want my, no worries. You know, it's like Wayne said on the What the Fuck. They won't be dropping him in there. They'll be breaking in to use it as an ATM machine. You know, it's just...
But you know how you said how much money
is the only reality we have.
You know, you pointed to how expensive those ridiculous machete bins cost. Well, which company got the money? Who got the money? You see a lot of this. Just
they were made in prisons. I bet the prisoners didn't get the money.
Yeah, no, someone's mate got the contract. Just like with the Perspex screens, I go to the pharmacy and they still have these stupid Perspex screens up, and it says, there's a little line at the top, and it takes everything from me just not to fucking lose it, because it says, the screen is here to protect us,
Here's Dr. Miley. So we've got another doctor coming in. Hey, Doctor. Oh, she's not ready yet. I'll wait till she's ready. There's, so there's,
but I say
overnight. You're telling me they didn't have them pre-made? Someone was just sitting at home and told his wife, I've got an idea for plastic screens, and they'll go in front of people tills to keep everybody safe. And she's going, no one's ever going to want that. COVID hit. Suddenly he's a multi-billionaire because he just happened to have the idea. Bullshit. They were pre-made. And they're ridiculous.
Follow the money.
Going to go, how do I get round? Hang on.
Just follow the money. Just follow the money.
And I can
follow the money. And you'll know who to arrest. Just before Miley comes on, I'll put this up. I saw this the other day. Godical on X posted this. 1.2 million people saw it. It says, sometimes I really think 2019 was the last normal year of our lives, and ever since, it feels like we've slipped into some alternate reality
100%.
where nothing makes sense.
100%.
Everyone is on edge. Time moves too fast, yet too slow. And the world we knew just doesn't exist anymore.
I know.
And I thought that really sort of, to me, I can understand why it hit a nerve, because...
and there's two tribes. There's the people that can at least see something's happening, and the others that can't. And my thing is, how can you possibly be on this planet now, in Australia now, gone through the 6 years and think, no, nothing to see here. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. They're eating children. Oh, well, it must be good for them. Maybe they've got a prescription of it. Went to the doctor, and the doctor said, oh, you're looking a bit old. I'll give you a prescription for, do you like Filipino kids? I've got a Filipino kid heading.
Adrenochrome. Have a bag of adrenochrome. You can afford it. It's just it is nuts. It is nuts. It is such florid evil. But let's. Shall we hear what Miley? You said she's had some good news.
Hello.
Hey,
I can't hear you. Be quiet, Miley.
I'm at McDonald's because I can't because there's a blackout on my street. It just happened half an hour ago. So I think
I'll just see if I can raise the volume from here.
Lockout.
Hold on. Anyway, we screwed up with the time, Miley. So Dr. Cartland might come in soon, but he can't make it at the moment. We screwed up the time.
Yeah. Yeah. There's 11 hours difference with the UK.
Yeah, that's
not
what we
10
thought.
hours.
Maybe 10, 11. Anyway, what's the good news? My
good news is
incredible hero.
That I have. The good news is I have managed to convince the Healthcare Complaints Commission that they have overcharged me for the GST on the transcript. So let me explain. The transcript wasn't, well, the Healthcare Complaints Commission doesn't normally provide a service, not that kind of service where they transcribe a transcription, an audio, and provide that kind of service to me. But what they did was
you need to put the microphone back in your mouth. We can't hear.
Maybe I'll turn it up. It's full. It's on full already. So they commission a transcription company, but instead of sharing the cost with me, which is that they invoice me half, and they invoice the Healthcare Commission half, and then I paid for my portion, and they pay for their portion. Because they want total control, they receive the invoice of the full transcript on their own, so that I could be, so that I don't get involved in the in knowing what goes on between the Healthcare Complaints Commission and the transcription company. So when I have to obtain my transcript, I have to pay half of that cost. And what they did was that they just provide exactly half, including the GST component of the transcript. However, there's an issue with that because the GST component, they have already claimed input tax credit on that, which means that the government already allowed them to offset any expenses they have with regards to the GST. So they can't pass the half of the cost of the transcript plus the GST. They can only pass half the cost, not the GST component. But in my case, they did both. They did half the cost plus the GST as well. And I picked them up on that. So I told them, well, you're overcharging me. You have to pay me back the GST. And so today they wrote back and they said, yep, we're going to pay you back. And it's a lot of money. It's 500, it's almost 550,000, sorry, $550.
So the GST is $550. Wow.
Well, the transcription in total was $6,000.
Yeah, I remember.
So you divide 6,000 by 11. So
Yeah.
10% of that is GST. So I'm going to get that back.
Cool.
And that is a big deal to me, you know.
Any win's a win. Any
Well,
win's a
that's
victory.
it. It is a win. It is
Yeah,
a win.
man. Yeah, we yeah, so go ahead.
I was going to say they didn't. I had to remind them how, you know, like I wrote to them in November of last year, and I was waiting for them to get back to me, but they didn't. And I just, you know, reminded them last week that, you know, I'm still waiting for this. And so it came today. So they said, send me your account number and your BSB will give you the money back.
Yeah. Yeah. How much money have you lost by not being able to practice for the last several years?
Exactly.
When are they going to pay? When are they going to pay you back for that? You know.
Yeah.
We were before you came on, Miley. We were just talking about how the Epstein file dump and how floridly evil the world is and how thoroughly corrupt our institutions are. And you know, God bless you for that you're still fighting the good fight. I think my personal thing is from doing the Forest of the Fallen with Rosemary and George and the others, and like even today in the hairdresser, in the barber, you know, talking about what's gone on the last few years, and people, they get it. They ordinary people understand that what's been happening is, and to you and to David Cartland and myself was wrong. You know, that we were telling the truth, that we were following our oaths to do no harm, we were trying to protect the innocent and protect our countrymen best as we could, you know, and the fact that they still haven't given up. You know, they should have dropped your case long time ago, and I feel like we're still in enemy territory. You know, it's like you're in a Nazi court trying to argue, trying to say, actually, you know, these concentration camps are, you know, producing a lot of smoke, and we should be stopped. We should be, and I don't know how you can get justice while we still have this current regime. You know, this current regime hasn't fallen yet.
They're in charge.
Yeah.
They're in charge.
It's hard to know the truth, the degree of evilness that they've committed against humanity. It's hard to know that and not to do anything about it.
Yeah, that's right.
I knew this a long time ago, and I knew about the Epstein file thing as well for a long time. But But the issue with, what the government's done with regards to COVID is so evil, and I just can't not do anything. And since I've been
Same.
suspended, I have no choice but to fight. But even before being suspended, I just find myself so in such difficult position where I knew the truth, and to sit still and to do nothing, it's it's so wrong. It felt like I'm just the same as they are if I were to do nothing. So
Yeah.
in a way, I'm glad in a way that uh, I'm put in a position where I didn't need to give the vaccine to anyone, and I'm in the right on the right side of history. So
Yeah, I feel it's a privilege, Miley. I think you and I and Michael are in privilege. We just so I feel so fortunate that in my own little way I could stand up and say, no, this is wrong. You're lying. You're causing people to be fearful where they don't need to be fearful, and you're putting them in harm's way unnecessarily, you know. And I wish I was wrong. I wish we were all wrong, but
yeah,
um, I think like the Rasmussen poll in America last year, more than half the population there believe the COVID shots have killed a large number of people. So it's
Mm,
common knowledge now, and
mm,
soon the satanic pedivores are going to be common knowledge, and I just don't know how it can stand. It's like a splinter for anyone in our minds, it just can't stand much longer. I don't know how it's going to manifest, but I think
I
you and
tell you
David,
something, Paul, that might shock
yeah.
you to show, because I don't think they're stopping. I think they've got a plan for what they want, a destination, a real plan of where they're heading, and I don't think we're invited. So, but I saw this today. This is from Scotland. I'd like to thank everybody who came to the show for the support. Sorry we didn't have enough signs for everyone. We were expecting many supporters. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, pedosexual, equality and acceptance, P now, LGBTP, pedosexual.
it's crazy.
And this guy, the man leading the fight to make all bathrooms gender neutral, is a convicted child molester. So why is he in a position of, how could he possibly be a convicted child molester and get into a position of power? Because in a fair world, if you've got a criminal conviction, well, mate, you're going to be working in a cleaning dishes or doing Uber Eats. You're not going to get in a position of power, but these people do. The corruption is off the scale. It's almost like waking up, instantly waking up. I remember when I was at Tunks Park, Miley, there was a guy there who was a priest or a monk, I think he was. He was the head monk. You probably know him. He was the head monk of some congregation, Catholic. And he pulled me aside and said, I can't do an interview, but I'm telling you, the devil is in charge of the world at the moment. That's the fight. And when you look at what's happening with all the Epstein files and something like this, you have to accept the fact that there is an evil that we simply can't comprehend, or the majority of people can't comprehend. And so using the word the devil, I'm not saying there is one character called devil, we're using the word devil to understand that depravity is the only thing that makes sense, because it's
Michael, the good thing about people perhaps starting to believe that there is that the devil walks among us is that people of faith must believe that Jesus is close. That if he's not within each one of us who are fighting back,
yeah,
that God, Jesus, the opposing force it must be rising now. You know,
Yeah.
you know, if you didn't believe in God, then you wouldn't believe in Satan either.
Mm.
But when you've got more and more evidence of Satan, it makes you it orientates you towards God, you know,
Yeah.
or Jesus, you know. I think there is something that's really positive that's going to come from this, because frankly, you know, this current perversion that's running our societies will need a very powerful unifying force. Uh, uh, and this is, to me, this is the war of our times. It's here.
Yeah, it's here.
It's
This is
here.
the war. It's let us see it. Like, look at Dr. Miley here. Now, you were born in a time in a country that was corrupted by great evil, where human life suddenly meant nothing. I remember, I don't want to upset you, but I remember the stories you told me of your mum. I thought, my God, my Lisa character, her mum sounds like another sensational character. But it meant nothing to them. And you've come from that. And instead of becoming this bitter human being, instead of giving into the evil itself or becoming a part of it, you dug your way out and became a doctor. And now the same evil is here. And I'm sorry how you've been treated. This is not legal. This is not decent. This is just evil. And people who, it's not like the banality of evil. Oh, it's just my job. It's just my job. They can't see it, but it's evil. You saved a woman's life. Their special witness said, yes, she saved their life. Well, she's a doctor. She saved someone's life. So what the fuck is she doing here at a tribunal trying to save her registration? You know,
Yeah.
it makes sense. Try and make that sense. Try word that in a way that it makes sense to a person who believes in common sense. And that's what we're seeing now with the EU has come out and said, oh, if say I decide that I'm a woman, then you guys got to go, yep, he's a woman. That's it. That's the EU going 2 + 2 equals whatever the fuck we say it equals. And you will comply with that, or we'll cancel you, we'll deregister you, or we'll throw you in jail on a hate crime. That's what's happening. They are coming after the truth. They are coming after, and this is where we have to stand now and go, no, and that's why I think the attraction is to Jesus, because all his proverbs that have survived all these thousands of years are simple and beautiful and powerful. And yeah, I wrote a piece today that I think COVID itself was an attack on God himself. You know, it was them
Well,
saying, hey, this is an act of God, you know, started with a bat and a pangolin, and it's going to kill us all. This is Armageddon. But wait, us clever humans have a vaccine, and we're going to save you from the wrath of God. You just have to join our church, the science, trust the science, and we'll protect you. When actual fact, the COVID, if it exists, was designed by human beings, and the vaccine is a piece of shit. And the best defense you had against this released COVID, this engineered virus, was your natural immunity. You just had to listen to that voice inside and go, "Yep, I got faith that I'll be okay." And here's where we are. I think the spiritual battle now is clearer than ever. We are up against great evil, and the universe is going, well, what do you guys want to do? You want to succumb to the great evil that's going to probably eradicate you? Or do you want to stand up for what is good in the universe and the world? And we call that God, you know? I think that's
well,
exactly where we are.
we
Yeah.
the Bible say that you know, the devil come to steal, kill, and destroy, and that is what's happening, right? They come to steal your blessing, kill you, and to destroy you. And we are as God's children. We are set apart for God. We're not part of this world, and you know we. Oh my goodness! Somebody's coming to join me at McDonald's. Sorry. Sue. Sue found out that I'm at McDonald's and she's here.
Oh, you're at McDonald's. Don't eat the
Yes.
burgers. Eat the chicken nuggets. G'day, Sue. That's hilarious. We got everyone here except Dr. Cartland.
I just came for Miley.
He just
Yeah.
came from my
I
leave.
got the SMS to say she's coming, but yeah. So I believe that this evil is attacking humanity, because God loves human, and God loves. You know, we are created by God. We are created in the image of God, and so when the devil attacks humanity, it is attacking God's children. So. We and for us who are awake and who know the truth, we need to fight. We need
Hey,
to
our
fight
big
this
guy's
fight
here.
to the very end. Oh, he's here.
Shall we get him
Okay.
in?
Sure.
And about time you turned up, sir.
You're the one messing the time up.
I know. We've done an hour of Epstein and everything to save the planet, mate.
We're so professional, David. So professional. It's
Well, it's good to be amongst fellow reprobates anyway.
Yeah, well, you've got Dr. Ustaus here, first doctor to be suspended for challenging COVID. You've got Dr. Miley here, who's persecuted nonstop. And then you take the cake, brother. They have brutalized you. And I admire you for sticking with your guns. We actually had the poem Eve to start this place. We'll end with that for you. If you can hold your head while all those around loosen theirs. This is how we see you. So thanks for coming on. I know you must be doing interview after interview, but can you fill us in with what these evil mothers are doing to you and have done to your life?
In summary, it's hard to do. I'll probably need about 6 hours, but I'll keep it brief. The charges started in 21 when I started doing podcasts, speaking out, as many have, and the complaints rolled in. And considering I had no complaints, and none of the complaints actually of the 256 I received have had anything to do with a patient or any clinical negligence. So no, long and short of it, over 3 years, I'm accumulating these 256 complaints, of which only 5 are founded and the rest are thrown out. But you have to still spend time, responding to them, and it takes a lot of time, even the do no actions. But yeah, so anyway, I was found guilty. I'll cut a very long story short. Basically, 3 doctors on Twitter that I disagreed with, one of which was a very prominent leader of trolls, and it's very difficult because unless you're on Twitter, you can't explain how absolutely outrageous it is that I've been found guilty of harassment of the biggest troll. He's just been kicked out of the Irish Medical Council for being, well, they expressed grave concerns about his credibility, put it that way, and he was the only witness. He's going around snitching on all the doctors in the Irish Council. So anyway, I've been found guilty of harassing him. I'll give you an example, and I just read this out on the previous interview. I'm going to give you an example. This is an obstetrician who was anonymized, so I'm only going to call her Dr. A. The GMC gave them all anonymity orders, and I was given public. Everything I said was public, and everything they said was private. Even their names were anonymized. So this is what I was guilty of. Now, you've got to remember, some of these tweets were from, in fact, 80% were from private Telegram groups. So how this doctor had access to my private WhatsApp group, I don't know, but you get the gist of this. Is the worst examples. This is in the MPTS determination on pages 17 to 19. Please read it. Please ask yourself as you read it, where's Dave Cartland's side of the story? Wherever his witness is, where's his witness bundle? I actually say we've disqualified Dave's own witness bundle. But anyway, this is my harassment of a doctor. Me and this doctor have history. Dr. A doesn't know what she's talking about. This is a doctor who claimed it's 100% safe to give the vaccine in pregnancy. This doctor has complained to the GMC about me. Incredible claims need incredible evidence to back them, particularly in pregnancy. It just goes on. I'll just read another from the second page just to mix it up. This doctor still can't quit her vaccine pushing addiction. Show her some love for all the babies and pregnant moms she inflicted spike protein upon. Can I ask you all a favor? Can you flood Twitter with this article and please tag Dr. A? It might be of interest to her. And that's it. That's how it went on. And basically, that's harassment. I mean, talk about playground antics. And the case for the other 2 doctors very similar. You know, playground antics. He said, she said. But what they did is they removed what I said. No, what they said to me. So this doctor called me all sorts of names, from a dangerous individual to disgusting, that I've got blood on my hands, I was a baby killer. She actually accused me of murder during the tribunal because of my anti-vax misinformation, killing one of her patients allegedly. She pointed to the camera and called me a murderer. But that said, that just demonstrates the case. The final crime, so these 3 doctors where we had a he said, she said, they said, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I was found guilty of harassing that doctor. Yeah, that doctor, I've just read that was evidence of harassment. Now, if you showed that to a policeman, it's going to get thrown in. In fact, you'll get laughed out of the police station. I know that because I've been complained about for harassment. So this goes deeper. We'll talk about that in a sec. Found guilty of harassing these 3 individuals. I was found guilty of harassing a practice manager for calling her out because she said that she Googled me. And the reason she wouldn't accept my application for the job is because I was a rabid anti-vaxxer from a Google search. And the surgery had just won an award for equality and diversity and non-discrimination. So I kind of put that next to each other. I fully redacted the patient, the practice manager. This complaint was rejected 4 times until the 5th time she's met by a gentleman in a car park with a brown envelope. You can't write this stuff, with probably one of the worst photoshops I've ever seen, where allegedly I've released her personal private details on a getter post. I mean, you can see it's wonky, it's different font, it's different. It's the biggest photo. I mean, my kids could have done a better job. And finally, the biggest crime of all, and that's led to all the fun and games I'll come to, is I wrote 5 what they called vaccine exemptions, or they called it falsification of medical documents. Now, bearing in mind the GMC have not got a copy of any of the letters that I did. People came to me back at the end of 23 and 24 saying, look, I'm going abroad. I need to get to Canada. I'll give you a real example. A grandmother needed to get to New York City. Her daughter had unexpectedly given birth, 29 weeks or 30 weeks. The baby had the cord around the neck. That baby was in NICU, and the mom had a postpartum hemorrhage. She was in intensive care. She had to get across, so I wrote a letter of support. And the reasons for the support were bodily autonomy, valid refusal of consent with capacity, and finally, I said I signed up to the Hippocratic Oath of do no harm. And for that principle, I believe these vaccines, but using my own opinion, are dangerous. And none of these letters were used at Border Patrol. No one was checked. They weren't added to anyone's medical notes. The GMC didn't even have a copy of said letter to be able to say what countries they were used in, what date they were given, what were the eligibility criteria and international rules that I'm allegedly flouting. And the reason is that none of that mattered. They found me guilty of dishonesty by falsification of medical notes. Now, about as twisted as you can get, really. So they're my 5 charges, 4 harassment charges.
It's complete projection. It's complete projection, you know, and it's completely political. And they've denied you due process. You know, none of your witnesses, your evidence wasn't heard. It was a complete kangaroo court. There was no justice involved in any of it.
They didn't just bring in like Joe Bloggs, the barrister. They brought in the highest barrister in the country. I don't mind naming her. It's in the public documentation. Claire Lindley. She's high up in the CPS, the Criminal Prosecution Service. And then the GMC's legally qualified chair wasn't just an average solicitor. It was a guy called Thomas Moran, who's now been promoted after my strike off to High Court judge. Funny that. But at the time, he was. Well, ironically, at the time, he was a terrorist and homicide barrister. Sweet irony that a terrorist and a homicide barrister was involved in my strike off. But so anyway, I'm struck off, and then the subsequent weeks. I mean, you can Google me. It's not a pleasant read. Google me. You'll see the media campaign. I was called homophobic, and the headline was "Inside the Warped Mind of Struck Off Dodgy Dr. Cartland and His Homophobia." I encourage you to all look that up. It's the biggest farcical thing you've ever read, and they've basically done.
I did get the show notes. It's just you're going seriously.
Well, the reason I was found to have hostility to the LGBTQ plus community, and the reason was I posted about 7 images of men in pride events, and I won't go into too much details as I don't know what time it is in New Zealand, but it's kind of watershed stuff of men with sex toys over their body, with kids in their hands, or in fetish wear, it's dogs, and you know, all this stuff. And I'm saying, is this appropriate in front of children, whether you're gay or straight? Is this appropriate from a safeguarding perspective? That was marked down. You can look in the MPTS tribunal. It says Dr. Cartland showed hostility to the LGBTQ plus community, and that stuck, and that's why that hit piece.
Classmate.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because Cornwall Live actually announced I was struck off 2 days before I was struck off. One of the trials announced I've been put on this DBS list, which we'll come to now, 2 days before I was put on the DBS list. So there's inside information leaking out constantly through the process. The GMC were making my trolls aware of stuff. The GMC actively helped my victims. I've got that in writing. The GMC is supposed to be a neutral regulator tasked with keeping the profession's confidence with the public. Meanwhile, they're letting off doctors for, I'll give you a few real examples in the UK. There's a doctor just been let off for rape. And the reason he was let off, it was a one-off rape. And he showed insight and took remedial activity. So as long as you say sorry and it's a one-off rape, that's all good. There's another one who was a Blackpool surgeon who was doing inappropriate gynecological procedures and examinations on women, and he was snipping off women's ovaries during the procedure. So he was doing like, you know, hysteroscopies and castrating them at the same time. Do you know what he got? Nothing.
What, without telling them?
Look it up. Yeah, it's without consent. He was castrated. I mean, look it up. These are BBC articles, so they've even made it to the BBC. But bearing in mind, I've also got an email from the GMC from 4 weeks ago when I complained about a doctor harassing me, telling me quite blatantly that we are a medical regulator and we don't get involved in harassment cases. If you feel like Dr. X is harassing you, then please go to the police and civil courts for remedial action. Now, they struck me off for harassment whilst telling me they don't do harassment. And then there's another guy who's been stalking me online who's he works as I won't go into too much details. He's managed by a different regulator. And the regulator is called HCPC, and basically he's been stalking me, turning up places where I'm doing presentations, sitting in the audience, real life stalking. Police won't do anything, his employers won't do anything, and the HCPC said we're not here to police what people get up to in their social media. We're not here for that. So I've got the HCPC saying we don't do social media. I've got the GMC saying we don't do harassment, apart from Dave Cartland, and here we are. And like I say, these hit pieces are damaging because if you Google me, you read about this evil, bullying, harassing, inciter of hatred, transphobic, homophobic evil man, when actually in reality, I hope people would agree, I'm a nice family guy, a Christian guy, and that's what I am, and that's not what Google says when you search me. Anyone feel free.
Well, over here they nickname you Dr. Kildare because he's a handsome doctor. So it's astonishing that's happening in our time. You know, it's like something you expect from the 50s or something back. You know, this is happening right now.
Yeah, well, the plot thickens, Michael. So obviously, time elapses. I took to my bed for about a month. You get a month to appeal. They said, well, and I just paid 80 grand for my barrister to absolutely. I won't say anything too bad, but he didn't. Well, I struck off, so he didn't win. So anyway, after feeling the financial pinch of 80 grand, then the GM was saying you've got 1 month to appeal to the same people. So you're just speaking to the same brick wall. It's gonna be about 22 grand plus VAT. And if you lose, you pay the GMC's costs. Now, these two idiots were on 6 grand a piece a day. And I mean, we were in and out of adjournments. This went on for 6 weeks. They couldn't make a decision without adjourning. You know, first decision they made was Dave Cartland's witnesses aren't allowed to speak, as I mentioned. I mean, how can they even stand upon that as being not?
Did they give you an argument for why they can't speak, or to see why?
They said we are the GMC. We are the GMC. The reason they found out about these letters I did was because a WhatsApp exchange came my way. And it was basically a person pretending to be a locum agency rep. And he got into small talk about, I'll find some work for you in Devon and Cornwall and Torquay, where I live. And the conversation soon turned to, I need to have an urgent business trip to Canada. I really, really need it. I've got 4 kids like you, Dave. This is life or death. It's a quadrupling of my salary, essentially. It was one of the trolls. The trolls were entrapping me into offering them a COVID vaccine exemption. And I said, I don't do exemption. I do letters of support for bodily autonomy, as I said, and all the rest of it. And then I offered him a consult to discuss it further. He said, how much does it cost? I said, I do them pro bono. Bearing in mind, the GMC said I falsified notes for money. And then I won't repeat the last message that came in that WhatsApp exchange. I've got a caravan to sell you for when you lose your home, you bleep, 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 beginning with C. Anyway, this exchange ended up in the hands of none other than 2 of my 3 GMC witnesses who submitted it on the same day within half an hour of each other with identical emails to the GMC. We've been made aware of this. And then you've got the troll who did it, gloating that he's got his evidence admitted. And that's all it was. I admitted at the time I did 5 in extenuating circumstances. Now, the reason I've gone into so much detail here and explained that there's no, like I say, they haven't got a copy of the letter to even tell me, because I've got a letter next to me here, which you've probably seen, it's online. There's a system in the UK called the Criminal Records Bureau Check, and it's basically to screen any employee for, have you committed a crime? It was purely convictions. So if you were convicted of a crime, you'd be on that list. So you could, and even then it was kind of, you could use your, you could balance it up. Like there's a person that I spoke to recently who employed a caretaker. He was on the DBS list for coke. when he was younger, but he still employed him as a caretaker in his 50s. So there's a little bit of, you know, wiggle room. They've changed it now to a disclosure barring service. There's a story behind why they've changed it, but it just opens it out a little bit from criminals to people who have committed demonstrable harm to vulnerable adults or children. So they're the only two reasons you go on this list. It's a list for wrong'uns, yeah, perverts, pedos, criminals, and people who've harmed adults and children that are vulnerable. I'm on that
and
list.
Doctors have lived up to the Hippocratic Oath.
Yeah, I've been placed on that list as of last week. We put in a wonderful rebuttal saying this is an abuse, a weaponisation of something that has absolutely nothing to do with Dave Cartland's Twitter spats, and he's writing a 5 letters. And I'll quickly read this because this is the darkest bit now, and you've got to remember what they're saying here. This is the section on page 6. It's public. I posted it. And it's about the reason I'm on this list is because of the vaccine exemption certificates that weren't vaccine exemption certificates. Right, here we go. Our concerns in relation to your conduct are not impacted by the age of those in your care. If you were to work or volunteer in regulated activity or volunteer with children, you may similarly consider it acceptable to act in a way which you see fit yourself and aligns with your own ideas, beliefs, or is intentionally harmful irrespective of the impact on those who may be reliant on you. You may consider it acceptable to falsify documentation and be of the belief that you are entitled to ignore and flout policies and protocols and fail to consider your professional obligations in doing so. Furthermore, you may, another may supposition, actively go against the advice given to you, and overall it is considered that your conduct poses a considerable safeguarding risk if you were to continue to work or volunteer in regulated activity with children. We are therefore satisfied it is wholly appropriate to include you in the children's barred list. So it's basically for the crime.
It's egregious. I mean, it's such an overstep. It's such nonsense that, you know, I'm sure that a lot of people around the world are rallying to your side. My concern, David, is do we have a court system that cares about justice, truth, procedural fairness, or any of that? I mean, you know, the public get it. The public can see it, at least the ones that aren't fed on a diet of BBC propaganda slop. They understand. From my point of view, you've stood up to all those principles of the Lighthouse Declaration, you know, informed consent, bodily autonomy, and you were engaged in scientific spat on X around the.
We've lost Paul. He's frozen.
We've lost Paul. He's frozen. There must not.
Interesting.
We just lost you for a bit, Paul. You just froze. You just froze the last bit of the rant.
Yeah, I was just saying that. Yeah, it's interesting. I thought this new computer would solve that problem, but it's obviously gone beyond the computer. Yeah, look, my rant was just, if you can still hear me, that you were protecting and engaged in scientific debate with these trolls on X. And they couldn't claim that it was safe for children. Even our own Atagi now doesn't believe that you can, that it's appropriate to give the COVID gene shots to children. And we had no long-term safety. I said that to my medical counsel in my hearing in 2021, that you know, it takes years before you can claim that you have long-term safety data. And these doctors that you were spatting with on X were claiming long-term safety when they clearly couldn't have known that there was long-term safety. And there was real concerns of harm. So God bless you, you know, David, you're following the highest duties of a doctor. And I think that I am furious with the way they're treating you. But I'm concerned that you can't get a fair hearing.
Do you want me to make your blood boil a little bit more? Do you want me to? It goes on. There's more. So next to me, what you can't see here, these are legal letters. You can see these are legal letters.
Oh my
and these are legal letters for lawfare out-of-court settlements. I've had to make several laws out-of-court settlements because I can't afford to fight. You know, so I can't go into any detail because I've been effectively silenced on these cases. But I've had to settle out. So when every time I've got a bit of money together to do a judicial review, for example, somebody swoops in and liberates me of the crowd fund. So I've not been able to. So the next thing after my appeal was I could do a judicial review, but you need 50 grand to start the ball rolling. And just as you mentioned, Paul, you've got to trust the judiciary. Now, the reason I settled out of court with these guys, not only the expense, but I didn't trust the judiciary, having been through the GMC. Well, I mean, aside from that, I mean, I spend a lot of time down the police station here in Penzance being accused by the trolls of harassment of the trolls. Just a really surreal interview I had under caution 3 weeks ago, where they came around my house on a Friday evening. I took the kids swimming, and they were outside the car in an unmarked car. So I'm always a bit twitchy now with these trolls now physically stalking me. Anyway, we got a knock on the door. Female cop comes in, sets my dogs off, my 2 kids, thinking, you know, daddy's being taken away by the police lady. And I got interviewed under caution for harassment of one of he's took over from the sheep farmer guy as one of the leaders, one of the sort of coordinated central people in the troll group. And they come round to speak to me about harassment and malcoms towards him. I mean, my jaw dropped, literally dropped when they mentioned the name, and I won't mention it yet. But anyway, 10 minutes in the cop shop, they show me these tweets, and basically what I do, I've always called out liars and bullies. That's been my position. I'm guilty of that. I call out liars and I name and shame bullies. So I put a picture of him on Twitter. I said, this is Mr. X. He works in a dodgy Thai massage parlor in Pattaya. He's been posting about me 800 times. I don't know the guy. Why are you doing it? Does your wife know you stalk a man? Stuff like that. And the police were literally handing me these, saying, did you write this? Did you write for what purpose? Anyway, I went in with a ream of A4, including death threats to other people. I won't repeat it again because I don't know what time it is your end, but there were X-rated.
Oh, relax. Cafe locked out. You say what you want. Swear.
Well, the one death threat was, I'm going to beat you around the head with a baseball bat until your brains come out your effing ears, or words to that effect. Now I'm reading these out and I'm saying he just doesn't do it to me, he does it to other people. Long and short of it was they NFA'd it, not for action. Rather than spin it around and go after him and say this is a vexatious, malicious police report, they just said, well, we've got no jurisdiction in Thailand. So all these trials, I mean, I've got one in Canada. I've got the coppers that put Belfield away. They're over in Costa Rica claiming that I'm harassing them. You know, I've got 1,700 posts about me from these characters, and they're going to the police saying I'm harassing them. This is what they did. The whole GMC thing was an inversion of the truth. Now, I've had phone calls from anonymous tip-offs to child services, Bernardo's and Cornwall Children's Services, saying we had an anonymous call. I was working at a surgery before I was struck off. They received 2 anonymous male phone callers on the last day. I've been running this practice for 6 weeks. I get a phone call saying Dave Cartland's a wrong gun. You know, and I've been really open and honest with these guys about the whole tribunal. It was going on at the same time as me working there. And they let me go on the evening after being there for 6 weeks. That was a real kick in the teeth because they knew what was going on. And because they were threatened with journalists and CQC reports, care quality commissions, and they bottled it and let me go via email, not even had the balls to phone call. Police reports. I mean, I've asked for an FOI today for the police. How many reports have you had about me? I think it's upwards of 50 plus now. None of them ever get any action. None of them get any action. The GMC was 256 complaints. Like I say, child services. The FA said they've had to close their bloody social media down because they're getting so many complaints about me. So I'm being tagged Cornwall FA. I've got a complaint at the moment. You'll like this. One of my stalkers approached me to interview him, the guy from Canada. And I said, leave me alone, you chunky ginger loner. Because what he's been doing, he's been creating images of me, big fat belly, big fat face, using AI to make me look obese. So I said, leave me alone, you chunky ginger loner. It auto-corrected the word chunky to chinky. So they've got me under kick racism out of football because I called a white man with ginger hair a chinky ginger loner. I mean, you can't write this stuff. I had to spend Sunday afternoon. I mean, this is what they're doing, microscoping. How would you call a white man a chinky? It just doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. But this is the degree that they're microscoping every single syllable I publicise on X. So you have to be ultra careful. And then, like I say, this DBS thing, I forgot to say football. I referee as a footballer. Referee. It's my joy, it's my passion, it's minimum wage, in fact less than minimum wage. I go and I stand on a football pitch in the wind and rain of Cornwall, getting swore at by a bunch of pub players essentially. I'm going up a few levels, so it's getting slightly better standard now. I've done 61 matches this season. I've been promoted. Wow. The Cornwall FA couldn't promote my promotion because they were worried about the trolls, because the trolls were trying to get me sacked. And on the other hand, they're promoting me for doing well. So they completely avoided naming me. Anyway, I've received, as a consequence of being put on the pedo list, I've been put on the I've been suspended from all football related activity. So get what the impact of this is. I can't referee, I can't run the line, I can't coach, I can't do any administrative activity. I can't play. I had to ring up a team I've just signed up for some exercise on a Wednesday and tell the manager, I'm really sorry, I can't make my debut. I've been put on this criminal list. And finally, I had to seek clarification that I was even allowed to take my son to his under-9s football match on Sunday to watch him play. And I had to clarify that because they sent me an email saying all football-related activities, you're allowed to take your child to and from football fixtures. So that to me suggested that I couldn't stick around and watch the game.
Yeah.
So I had to seek clarification from the FA that I'm allowed to watch my 9-year-old son play football. And he actually scored yesterday, which is good, got man of the match. So I managed to get permission to watch my son play football. This is what's going on in the UK, guys. This is about as dystopian, Orwellian, totalitarian, overreach.
Yeah, we're watching the UK like a living nightmare, and it's coming here.
We're planning the next. We're looking at Florida probably or somewhere similar. People are getting political asylum now, so I'm looking at that really to get out.
How about Russia? We've got people in Australia who are moving to Russia for freedom. So they've got freedom to speak. They don't even speak Russian. They have no Russian heritage, but they're going there to be free. Who thought that when we were kids would ever happen?
Well, we had a case last week of a lady being convicted for silent prayer outside an abortion clinic.
Yeah.
Tells you all you need to know. Silent prayer. Now, in some days, we're having the same judge ruling Twitter spats and Twitter offences as criminal and convicting. There was a lady called Lucy Connolly was put in prison for 2.5 years for saying burn the hotels down with all the immigrants. And she removed it. She removed it after an hour. After she took a dog a walk and she thought better of it, removed it. 2-year prison sentence. And the same judge is letting off or suspending sentences of paedophiles on the other hand. This is what we've got now. And it's almost like they're trying to goad us into civil action now, into civil unrest.
That's what Paul was saying before he came on. That's what Paul was saying. They're trying to goad us. Come on, what you going to do? Because it's. And I interviewed. I was talking to this woman in an op shop because I'm living on the road in the bus, going town to town, interviewing people, and most people are too terrified to talk now. But she said, "I've never been racist, but this government is making me racist." She was in her 70s. She said it's so unfair, the things that are happening. And if basically a white person speaks about it, I'm sorry, but that's true. Bang, you're cancelled. You're racist. You're this. It's insane, and it's happening all around us. Then we've got the Epstein files, which we're talking about before we get on. We won't have to talk about them now, but that's like a depravity of a level we can't even conceive. And those people are walking around. No problem at all. And here you are, basically being pummeled. It's almost like they're trying to get you to top yourself,
Yeah, I think that's their end game, to be honest. I've kind of concluded
that's what they're doing to Miley.
I mean, Miley's a criminal for saving someone's life, aren't you?
Yeah, I know. How dare she? How dare she save someone's life? Their chief witness said, yeah, she saved the woman's life. You're thinking, well, why is she on trial? She's a doctor. She saved someone's life. Hello. It's not about fairness. It's not about sense. It's about control and power. And you have challenged them, and they're going to destroy you. I mean, I think they want to destroy you publicly so that every other doctor in the UK goes, you don't want to go the Cartland route. Just shut up. And you know what I mean? It's like that. But I think it's incredible what you're doing.
The General Medical Council, though, is there. Yeah. It's a charity regulator. So it's a charity, firstly, and it's supposed to regulate the profession in terms of public confidence. That's what they keep saying. Their strapline is always, we're here to maintain the public confidence in the profession. Now, they didn't just erase me like the normal way. They erased me immediately. Immediate erasure. Now, you've got to do some serious shit to be getting erased immediately. Surely. Yeah. Anyway, nonetheless, like I say, here's a funny one. Witness statements. So I had 340, character references from neighbours, friends, ex-colleagues, all sorts of people from across the spectrum, 340. Some of them were garnered from going on to X and saying, anyone wants to write a letter of support to the GMC, please do. The email's available on the website. Inundate them. I use that phrase, inundate them. So the GMC, when they're coming to consider the sanction and to whether to chop my head off or strike me off, whatever they were going to do, or hang me in the streets, then they decided to consider, should we use these as a mitigation? They came to the conclusion, this is the head of the CPS, we're not going to allow these to be read out or considered in passing judgment here because they were illegitimately sourced, because I said on Twitter, inundate them, and that the people who wrote these do not understand the particulars of the case. It doesn't bloody well matter if it was a murder, a petty theft, or a GMC regulated you take it's a character reference, and this is how bad it got. They were literally not listening. There's a pile of 340 character witnesses from MPs down to doctors to neighbours, or just Dave Cartland's a nice neighbour sort of stuff. They didn't listen to any of it. So I mean, they literally got rid of everything to do with my own defence. So it's so corrupt. It's laughable if it wasn't so real and evil.
I can't
Here we
believe
are.
this is the United Kingdom. You're talking about the United Kingdom. This was like they ended slavery. This is like the bastion of justice. The Magna Carta came from you people.
Yeah.
And
Well,
here they
ironically, I mean, the GMC is supposed to be neutral. If you type into Google later, feel free to. GMC's investment portfolio. I'm sure you know what's coming. They invest in AstraZeneca. They invest in Merck. They invest in Coca-Cola and Nestle and various other pharmaceutical interests. Now, I didn't sign up to that when I pay my £50 subs that I don't pay anymore, but they're investing in big pharma. Is that not the biggest conflict of interest? Even some of the complainants have received money from, the industry. And so, there were conflicts of interest all over my case, and here we are. I'm not seeing patients today working in the National Health Service. By the way, there are so little doctors down here. We're so understaffed. I mean, I've even offered to work at a surgery that had no doctors for one particular day. And I got the email back saying, we'd rather have no doctor than have Dr. David Cartland work for us.
Oh, my God. We're going to towns here, major towns in the country, Doc, and they've got no doctor. And they secretly tell us, they go, there's no doctor in town. If you go to the doctor, they put you on a video call with a doctor 1,000 kilometers away. No, and this is like a town with say 10, 20,000 people. And it's not, we did a rant about it to find out this is common all across Australia.
Yeah.
And then they've got these doctors here who are, suspended or, Paul doesn't want to work there anymore, sitting there doing nothing. And people out there are suffering and dying and they don't care because the only doctors they want are the ones that'll do exactly what they're told and won't question anything. They just want drug pushing slaves, not doctors.
Well, you've got to remember, I've not been able to work in Cornwall for about 4 years nearly now. It's coming up to 4 years. But for that last little job that I did just before, it's a bit of a saviour. I had to drive 3 hours away to get that job. But what the GMC did at the start, bearing in mind, this is at the accusation stage. So Joe blogs on the internet, writes into the GMC and says Dave Cartland's this, that and the other. So at the time, bear in mind, no witness rebuttal, no comment from me. They wrote to me saying, we need to know your work details, where you work in and what surgeries and what hospitals. And if you don't, we're going to add that to the charge sheet. I was like, it's none of your business. But anyway, I kicked and screamed, but I still had to provide these details, a hospital and 6 surgeries. GMC write a letter, bearing in mind this was 4 years ago, saying, FYI, Dr. David Cartland, one of your locums, is being investigated, fitness to practice by the GMC for bullying, harassment, incitement of hatred and falsification of medical notes and dishonesty. If you've got any concerns about this, doctor, please forward them on to the GMC for consideration. So not only were they bad-mouthing me to every surgery I worked at with no reason and no rebuttal from me, no comment, they also asked for actively fished, and they got some complaints out of the practices for that because I took a selfie in one of the rooms with my thumb up and a cup of coffee. That was one of the complaints. Dave Cartland's taking selfies in our clinical room. What? There was nothing in the background that was identified. So everything I did.
And there's a law against that, is there? You're not supposed to. Dr. William Bay is suffering this. Dr. William Bay has 7 independent investigations into him now, even though he won his case. And he got one job in Hitchinbrook Island, and he got the same trolls attacking the place, saying you can't have this guy here, so they let him go. He is working now. Don't want to say where, but it's the same thing. Even though he beat them, they're still coming after him like crazy.
Oh, they line them up. What they did with me is they literally, when I was doing the tribunal, bearing in mind all the charges from 21, 23, the case was heard in 25, so 3-year process, they string it out, the process is the punishment. But just before we got back for the second half of the fun and games at the tribunal for my striker, they contacted me at the GMC saying, we've had another complaint against you, well, 3 in fact. I'd been posting naturopathic cancer anecdotal, basically people who've written to me saying, I've cured my stage 4 pancreatic cancer with A, B, C, D, and E. And I wrote a beautiful disclaimer saying, these posts are nothing to do with me. They are third-party naturopaths. They're curing cancer with this list of things are anecdotes. Please seek your own doctor's advice, in particular your oncologist. And they're ringing me up saying you're promoting cancer cures on Twitter. This is against the Cancer Act. So they were lining up the next set of batch of complaints for me if by some miracle I actually won.
But David, what about William Macus? He speaking of cancer cures, he's been, as I understand it, he's been attacked mercilessly in the communist state of Canada, and has been given a registration in Florida, and is involved in research now for ivermectin in cancer treatment. So maybe the answer, unfortunately, is that you have to get out of the occupied territory into a realm where a doctor who actually follows his duty, who tells the truth as he understands it, who defends his patients and provides informed consent, where that's respected, because clearly it's not respected in Australia, it's not respected in the UK. Maybe that. I'm sure. I saw the messages under your post. A lot of people saying, "Come to Florida, come to the US." We want a doctor who understands his duty, his duty of care. And I think one of the reasons they attacked you so is because you've been effective, and a doctor who understands and lives up to his duty is a sore thumb for the other 99% of doctors who haven't stood up to their duty to do no harm. I think that's it. You should. I think why deal with this corrupt, contaminated, and sick system and society? Go somewhere where you'll not only be respected for fulfilling your duty. I was saying to Miley and Michael earlier that in many ways I think we've been honored. It was. I feel like it was such an honor that they came after me in 2021 for saying what I did. In many ways my life has been transformed, but for the better. For the better. I mean, even on a family note, my daughter 3-4 years ago, she hated me. She was hissing at me when I'd get near her, and it broke my heart. And it's all transformed now. She's living with me, and here this deplorable anti-vax cooker. What I've discovered is that I sort of saw myself as a soldier, and when I was facing difficulty, I didn't go, "Oh, I'm being attacked." There was one time I was going down to Melbourne in 2021 for a big protest, and I agreed to do a press conference with some friends who were interested in constitutional law for a member of the Defence Forces, and I'd agreed to come to dinner on Friday night with my friend Karen Faruja Cohen, and as I got 100 kilometres over Sydney, my car, the engine seized and blew up.
I remember that.
And so here I was in the rain, in the middle of nowhere, and I was thinking, well, you'd think, okay, things are tough, it's not meant to be. I became even more determined to go. Karen had a friend who needed a car to be driven down to Melbourne. I got in that car, drove to Melbourne, got to just north of the border, and the second engine in 12 hours blew up on me. It literally blew a head gasket, and I ended up having to sleep in the car overnight, and then I managed to get a car into Melbourne, and the rest is. It transformed my life because I had this view that I was a soldier. You expect to be attacked. You expect to cop shit. You expect things not to go the way you want. But it just made me more determined. And by going to Melbourne on that trip, I met the people that transformed my life, that gave me the arguments that I was going to use in the Supreme Court a few months later. So I see you as a soldier. I see Miley as a soldier. I see myself as a soldier. We will face difficulty, but by by sticking to your duty and your oath, you've already won. You've already won, brother. You can't lose. None of us can. We've already been blessed. We've been blessed just by engaging in the battle. So don't worry about these setbacks. I don't know how it's going to work out for you, but I'm sure that it will, because we have the forces. The motivation is good. It's loving. It's protective. It's compassion. It's goodness. You can't lose.
Yeah, I echo that sentiment. Really, there's like I say, it's attritional. I mean, I've still got a smile on my face, laughing as I'm telling you that I'm being banned.
Yeah, you do, man. They're not breaking you.
I'm fully hoping for a lottery win.
Grind you down.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a lottery win. That'll be good. That'll sort me out.
Have you thought of writing a book?
Got one. Can I flash it up?
Yeah, absolutely. Send us any links to that, and I'll publicize it. We've actually got a bad book company over here. So send us the links. We'll get it up and going. There's people will
2 books.
I got 2 books. Yeah. Oh, do you want to see that one as well? Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when I was suffering from bad insomnia, I decided to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and write some poems about. And so one of my poems is called COVID Cultists. One's called Maskaholics Anonymous. And then there's Doctor's Despair, which the book's named after. So, and then there's a compendium of other people that were awake in the UK at the time that were sort of speaking. They wrote a bit of poetry. So that's quite an interesting one, because it's like fingers up to the establishment. But yeah, going back to me, I mean, in terms of what the reason I do this every day is, as well as my own patients and all the rest of it, is my grandkids. They're not born yet. But when they're born, I want them to look at, not the Google search of Dave Cartland, but I want them to read these books. I want them to watch these videos and interviews and say, you were a soldier in that war. What did you do to help me, Granddad? Hopefully I haven't been bumped off by then.
Well, once someone said in here, that selfie you took, what about the nurses dancing? Well, the greatest pandemic in the world we've ever faced, and they're all getting up and doing rehearsed dancings and they're all doing it. That's not an issue. Hello? No. But if we're looking for fairness, we're not going to find it in these systems. We're not. As far as they're concerned, they want you gone or to use you to and the same with Miley, same with Dr. Paul. All the doctors we've interviewed over here have been put through hell. And I think it's not even just aimed as to them. It's to control all the other doctors. And what you really need is you need the other doctors to sit there and going, why am I a doctor? Is it just to make money? Or is it actually, do I believe in the Hippocratic Oath? And if you believe in the Hippocratic Oath, then now's the time to stand, because they can't get rid of all of you. But that's what they need to do. You're a beacon of hope, because you're literally standing by the Hippocratic Oath, and we benefit. We benefit.
They've drafted it out at med schools. I mean, when I was one of the last people that stood up with my hand on my heart and said, it's an unusual statement, but the most important bit is first do no harm. And then it was opt in and opt out. So some people could sit down, some could stand up in the years after I graduated. But now it's completely phased out. So I mean, why would you phase out?
Yeah, Dr. William Bay told us that they don't do it anymore, so no one's obligated to do it. And the public doesn't know that. But going back to the point you just made about prohibitive effect of, I mean, the amount of messages I get every day from nurses, doctors, paramedics, even in person, pat, well done, Dave, you spoke out, balls of steel, etc. But what they'll say is, when I ask them, because it makes me really angry, that group in the middle, the ones that are perpetually pushing the jabs, they can go to hell. You've got the people who have woke up from the beginning, and you've got the group in the middle that know exactly what's going on. Believe me, I speak to enough of them. And I say, well, why aren't you speaking out? And the original response was money, finances, pension, kids in private school. And that very quickly changed to, well, we've seen what they've done to you and every other doctor in the UK. There's not a doctor in the UK, but for Asim Malhotra, and they're coming after him as we speak, that spoke out. They struck off my good friend who's a forensic psychiatrist, Danny Armstrong. And if you read the BMJ, it says, Dr. Daniel Armstrong struck off for questioning the safety and efficacy of the COVID-19 vaccine. And then in my tribunal, they've told me my case is absolutely nothing to do with COVID-19. They said Dr. Cartland is entitled to his views, even if they're not in keeping with the consensus opinion. He's protected under freedom of speech. That doesn't help my friend who was struck off, or Mohammed Adil, who was struck off for voicing his genuinely held beliefs. What is this? No one owns the science. Science is always debate, as we all know. It's never ever settled. And this, I think they used to be. Well, science is now a religion. I wrote about it today saying, I actually believe, I know you're a Christian. I wrote a thing today saying, I think COVID was an attack on God itself. And basically they were saying, look, this God has unleashed this pandemic upon us. It's the wrath. Maybe it's Armageddon, but it's okay because we've got the cure. Us mere mortals have created a vaccine that will protect you from God's wrath. You know, and it's actually this attack on God. And they, all the churches over here, especially I was from Melbourne, all the churches were closed, but all the vaccination centers were open. And every morning the new mass would happen. They get on with the premier and everyone else. Oh, we lost this people last night. We lost this people last night. You know, pruned by this malicious God. But if you actually take our vaccine, roll up your sleeve, we'll protect you. And if you all take it, we'll all protect ourselves from God. That's what they were actually saying. They never said those words, but they did. Because one thing you notice, Doctor, you go back, any other natural disaster in history, the politicians always go, let's keep the family and the victims in our prayers. But with COVID, they never said that. They never mentioned God. I know it sounds a bizarre conspiracy. I'm not even a massive Christian. I'm just a believer now. But they never mentioned God. First time ever. And this is what it is. We're facing true evil, brother. We always think about God and the devil as like, you know, outdated concepts, almost like fairy tales in the Bible. But what if it's real? What if we're facing pure evil? And it's just that's just why everyone can feel this is a spiritual war. And you're a spiritual warrior. It's an honor to have you on. We talked about this. It's an honor to have you on. You're a profound spiritual warrior, and your grandkids will know, because even if they fuck you over in the social media and the press will come in, the people will remember, and the people will tell you, yeah, you truly are, man. Yeah, you're known over here. When I said Dr. Cartland's coming on, everyone knows you. In Australia, mate, everyone knows you. You know.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah, it's true, man.
You've got a global. One good thing about COVID in the last 5 years, and there was a lot of evil, but the good thing is that we have now a global movement of warriors that are opposing this, and we will win. We will win, and this will transform. And you know, you're up there. You know, as one of our most effective warriors. You know, and you shouldn't don't lose heart, because like I said, things do transform, and I have very little doubt that these circumstances at the moment will transform. But in the short term, you know, there is difficulty, and there are only a few times in our life where we look back and we look at our difficulty and it's sweet. Like when I described those 2 engines blowing up and all that hassle and difficulty, it's sweet. It's sweet because you realize that it made me who I was. So I don't regret a moment of what's happened in the last 5 years. And I'm sure this is going to transform for you too. What is the most skillful part? I don't know, but pray on it, you know, and it will come. And you've got to know that we've got your back, brother. We've got your back. You know, we will share your book. We will share your fundraising, and you'll land on your feet. I have little doubt.
Well, I always get asked, "Well, do you regret it? Would you do anything differently?" Yeah, probably. Sometimes the delivery was always, you know, retaliating to trolls was never a wise move. But you know, you poke the bear. I mean, I've just done an interview before this where they showed some of the awful images of me with a paedophile, Jimmy Savile, in bed with him, or as Hitler. There's a picture of me with Hitler's moustache and Ku Klux Klan, and I'm on the Epstein list apparently. I mean, this is what I have to put up with. But going back to why I got into this position in the first place, that's why I always think, why me? Why me? What did I do that got me this targeting? And you know, I have to remember I've got really extreme views on certain things. My extreme views are as follows. I believe in medical ethics, including informed consent. I believe that lockdowns are useless as according to evidence-based practice. I think that children and pregnant women need special protection, and the evidence just simply wasn't there. A, as an indication to vaccinate them, and B, it wasn't there to show to say they lab-ratted children and pregnant women. And finally, the biggest crime of all, I helped the vaccine injured. by listening to them and researching for them and directing them and giving the odd falsified medical note / letter of support for said bodily autonomy. So throw away the key as far as I'm concerned.
It was bullshit. But just to say, you didn't deserve what's happened to you because you poked the bear. You were attacked by a psychotic crazy bear. You know, it wasn't that you deserved any of this. You didn't. But it's because you were effective at the message of ethics and basic logic. You know, a lot of the science, natural immunity. You know, I said things like bodily autonomy at my hearing, and the medical council sneered at me like I'd made up a term. You know, I talked about natural immunity, and I called out the bullshit that the shot. You know, because there were tweets at the time saying the WHO that you get better immunity from the shot than you do from natural immunity, and it was censored. I think not one person saw that tweet, literally one person. But you know, you're just speaking common sense, and it's not like you have no training in this. You know, I heard that you'd studied virology and immunology.
Oh yeah, conspiracy theorist. I did a whole 3-year degree in biomedical sciences, including biology and immunology. Yeah, that's where I learned to place the tin hat above my head.
That's where you're highly trained in conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I mean, we had some silly rules, but you probably go on.
I could see you as a great speaker, actually going town hall to town hall, speaking your truth. I think you draw a crowd because I think the whole world now. I call it, we're a part of an army of light. We don't know who's in charge. There's no generals. There's no thing. You just join it. And the only thing that bonds us is common sense, decency, humanity. I mean, the only thing the government's got over us is they've got the money. So people think, well, how am I going to pay their mortgage? You know, the government gives us money. You take away the government's money, they got fuck all to offer us. They're just offering us tyranny. They're offering us to take us somewhere that's not conducive to the human soul. This is what we're fighting for. So it's going to hurt now. I mean, it does hurt. You know, we're all used to it, but we're becoming veterans. We're becoming veterans with this now, and that's what you are. But it's an army of light. I could see you touring America. They won't probably even let you into Australia, to be honest. They won't let you in, but the people would flock to see you if they did, and that's probably why they won't let you in. This is what we're fighting. But I could see you. I mean, podcast is one thing, but I could see you on stage, and everything you're saying tonight. Show the images of what the troll's done. You show everything. You'd fire people up. Now, you'd be more scary to them actually out in the public where they couldn't just use AI to censor you. You'd be out there speaking people to people. Yeah. You're a dangerous man now to them because of that. Yeah,
I know, and the level that they've gone to. I mean, it's not like we covered a lot of what they've done. I mean, they've contacted my ex-wife for hit pieces. In fact, my ex-wife has now mysteriously created an account on X where she has 55 followers, and all 55 are the trolls. You know, including the guy who was pulled into the police station over harassing. He's following my ex-wife. In fact, 2 of my victims of the GMC case are following my ex-wife. Explain that to me. You know, and it gets. I mean, my neighbours have been contacted, locals. You know, it's just the recent one is following me to football matches. So the FA, when I get a match appointed to me, the trolls then publish that and say anyone in and around the area go. And one of the guys threatened to come and set fire to me and pour diesel on me through a fire extinguisher. And you go to the police station and explain that somebody's going to set fire to me, and there's no action. You know, every time I go to the police station, the one policeman yawned at me, literally yawned in my face when I was going to report 6 of these individuals, and they'd got in ahead of me. I turned up to report these 6 individuals. It took me all the courage in the world. I went with a retired police detective, all my paperwork, and they said, "Oh, Dr. Cartland, you saved us the trip." I was like, "Oh, that's a bit strange." And they said, "Oh, you've had 6 reports in 2 days of your malcoms and harassment." And I said, "Who are they?" And they read the 6 names I'd gone in to report. This is these twisted antics that they get up to. Like, literally, I'm now unemployable as it stands. So, by the way, anyone watching, if anyone's got a job for me, bearing in mind I'm a criminal list and I'm a disgraced bully, you know, just considering looking at the wider lens here, and it's difficult. The practical skills are, I mean, the practical issues are, I've got a mortgage, I've got 4 kids, I've got, you know, practical issues here as well as the legal costs. So I applied over Christmas for some driving work. You know, I thought it'd be nice to just drive around Cornwall delivering stuff, Christmas presents like Santa Claus. And I applied for the jobs. And obviously they get the CV through from this guy who's got a first-class honours degree in biomedical science. He's got a master's in cardiovascular medicine. He's a published author and scientist, A&E trained GP, surgically trained in minor ops. And they look at it and they're like, well, why is he coming to Amazon for a driving job? So they Google me. And like I say, if you want to have some fun, Google me and see if you're reading about the same person that's on this podcast and what Google tells you. So yeah, it's really the DBS the DBS listing means I would not be able to travel internationally. One of the first things they do is that the person coming into the country isn't on the criminal list, and I'm on the criminal list, having committed no crime. Get your head around that.
Jeez.
It's egregious.
Decision. Somebody has signed off on this letter, and do you know what? Do you know what they sign these letters as? There's no signature. It just says Operations Director. There's no signature on any of these letters. I get no one's putting the name to it. So who do you sue? Where does the book stop in this DBS listing? The Operations Director.
Miley's doing the same. You know, one of the complaints against her was a prescription that she wrote for her brother. You know, and she proved it, and there's no conviction. Why aren't the people who are providing? Why aren't they providing this basically scored them out in fraud? Why aren't they arrested? Why aren't they charged? Why aren't they deregistered as their doctors? But no, it's literally a protected class.
Well, the funny thing is, Michael, that the two charges I've been found guilty of, harassment and falsifying medical notes, they're both criminal offences. I think I mentioned earlier that I've got an email from the GMC saying we don't do harassment. It's police or it's civil, yet here I am. And so if I'd committed harassment that was punishable by law, and the rule that they use is beyond all reasonable doubt for criminal and balance of probabilities in civil, they wouldn't put it in front of police because, I mean, I've just read out some of those pathetic playground comments that were made in private, and they were using private Telegram messages that she somehow got hold of. It's about, you know, as private as me having a chat with my wife in the living room, you know, but they were using it against me. I called her an evil witch once. I stand by that comment and then privately I called her an evil witch because I consider somebody who stands there and says it's 100% safe in pregnancy to give the COVID-19 vaccine, actively recruiting people to their clinic. I called her an evil witch privately. That was publicised by the GMC. He called an obstetrician an evil witch. Yes, I did. I believe she's an evil witch.
So what?
So what?
So what if you did? So what if you did? You know, who gives a shit? You know? Get offended, big deal.
One-off rapes are okay, apparently, according to the very same GMC. Castrating women is okay, according to the GMC. We've had there was 35 sex offenders actively working as doctors in the UK at the moment with no restrictions. There's a gentleman who, with his husband, committed a sex act on a train. 3 stops along, he went doing this act. I won't describe it in any more detail other than to say it was highly public. He's been given a 3-month suspension because he apologised and, you know, showed insight. That's the key there, insight. So because I didn't show insight and admit to being this vile abuser and that I did falsify medical notes when I actually didn't, then that's what they held against me. This doctor is unfixable. He's dishonest. And they said my dishonesty was such that it was irremediable. You couldn't fix me. They said I wrote an apology at the very end, last knockings at the end. I wrote an apology as advised by my colleagues, just show some insight, apologise. So I wrote this kind of begging apology, and they said it was not what was it? They didn't believe it to be anything other than a last-minute attempt to get off the hook. They questioned it. That was it. They questioned the authenticity of his apology. They've asked me to apologise. I've apologised, and then they've questioned the authenticity of said apology. Just get your head around that.
You remind me of Enoch Burke, the Irish teacher who keeps going back to jail because he refuses to use pronouns. To use pronouns. He spent like 500 days in jail or something. You know, it's
Michael. When they use the term lacking insight to a doctor, it's one of the worst things you can say. You know, because it's like saying you just don't understand, you just don't get it. The irony is that the people accusing you of that, they're the ones who are truly lacking in insight. This is what I mean. It's a topsy-turvy world where everything is the opposite. They're confessing, but it's confession by projection. And unfortunately, they're projecting all of their faults on you. That's the irony. that it really is, we're an upside down world. But that's the worst thing you can say to a doctor. You don't have insight. And, if I had a trainee and I said, they just didn't know how to do anesthesia or resuscitation, and they lacked the insight, that would be the worst thing you say. And that's not the case here. It's completely topsy-turvy, upside-down world. What's that? Stranger Things, I think I wrote in my tweet. This is a Stranger Thing world where up is down, left is right, and it's ridiculous. And time will show this for sure.
I'm just seeing some messages popping up asking me if I can weld and things to that effect. One thing I would say is that when you become a doctor, you gear your entire life, as people who are doctors here would know. From in nursery school, I was the one with the stethoscope, ironically with the syringe, giving it to the other children. I look back on that now. That was prophetic, wasn't it? But you gear your GCSEs in the UK to your A levels, then you do your first class honours degree in biomedical science, and then you say, right, I'm actually going to take the plunge now and become a doctor. And it takes, like I say, I've been 17, 18 years. It will be this year that I'd have been a doctor. 10 years it took me to train. I did the long route with a degree, master's, and an undergraduate medical degree. And to have it taken away, the point I'm making is that it's like an actor that's been doing horror movies all his career, suddenly taking a comedy role. It doesn't work, does it? Same thing here. I don't know how to do anything else. The only other thing I knew how to do was referee football matches as an ex-player, and to do that, and that's been taken away. And now with this DBS list, it literally is unemployable. You can't get
you have great talent, David. This is what I mean. You can't see where this is leading, but it's pushing you into your destiny. And I remember when I made the decision to walk away from medicine for the first month, it seemed inconceivable to me. What could I possibly do with my life? That's all I've ever known. And yet my life has been transformed, and I still don't know what my path is. But all I can say is it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing, and I don't regret one moment of it. Fighting this fight, being a soldier for truth and ethics and honesty and protecting. We started off talking about the children and the crimes that are being revealed at the moment through Epstein. But this is the highest calling that any of us can have, and that's why I said to Miley earlier, that it's a blessing. It really is. I see it as a blessing. But this you will find you have a lot of talent and skills that that will be revealed. They're not closing off. They're pushing you towards your higher purpose. And I look forward to it. I really look forward to it.
Yeah. Look at me, Doc. I was living as a playwright in Australia, which is really fucking hard because no one in Australia goes to see theatre. They just don't, especially new theatre. They just don't do it. And yet I made it. And I was on the way to getting really, really big, even a millionaire, because the army was taking one of my plays and touring it. And so, but they wanted me to segregate audiences. That's what they wanted me to do. Only the vaccinated could come see it. And I did a post. I'm not doing that. It's a cancel the culture, so I won't participate. Now the ABC sends us a thing to say, because of Michael has devolved into a lie-spewing anti-vaxxer surrounded by vile human beings, we can no longer support his work. And the very day I got cancelled, I set up Cafe Lockdown down, thinking I'm just going to defend free speech. I didn't think, never done a podcast, I didn't know how to do it, and I just started. Now I live in a bus, I travel the country, and I reach 6 million people a month. And my book on my essays of my time has just been taken up by the National Archives. So you just don't know. What you have to do, I know this sounds, I can't believe I'm saying it, because if you knew me before, I can't believe I'm saying it before. You have to have faith. You're on the right side of history, and there's good forces behind you, and the bleeding might be a part of the battle, but you're on the right side. You really are, and you have to have faith. It's actually testing our faith. It's a really test. And right now, people go, where are you going? I say, I don't know. I just follow this voice in my heart or this soul or somewhere, and I just follow that. I just do that and I just keep going and I run on instinct. But it's not instinct, it's faith. I just feel I'm doing the right thing and I go, you know. Oh, and I'm an apprentice mechanic here, Bill Lober. So I change alternators in this bus. Before COVID, I wouldn't know what a fucking alternator was. Now I've changed too. And now I'm doing all these things. I had a big 2-meter python fell asleep under my bus. I had to dig him out. You know what I mean? Got this and all these things that have happened to us, and we've survived. And I'm stronger. I'm the best version of me that's ever been. And it wasn't success that made that. It was oppression and me standing up to the oppression. These who wanted to silence me, go fuck yourself, because if they silence me, then my grandchildren will be born into a world of silence, and I am not going to let that happen without a fucking fight. Yeah, so that's what I do. You know.
Look at us 3 granddads here fighting for humanity. Granddads today, future granddads.
Yeah, that's right, man. We'll either vanish into history or who knows, but we're on the right side and we got to do it. It's no other choice. Once you start, you can't sit down. That's it.
Yeah.
You know.
No, we love you, David. We love you.
Yeah.
Thanks
for coming on. Sorry for screwing up the time. Thanks for coming on. It's been great. And I hope you do a load of interviews. Hopefully we see you on 60 Minutes. Maybe America, they might do it. But you're a great man. Yeah. And it took this bullshit to separate the wheat from the chaff, you know. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
I'm going to go out with the Eve song. Have a listen to it. But this is you. This is when it was growing up, my father wrote it, spoke it to me. And I remember thinking, what's it really mean? Now, in this era now, I know exactly what it means. And it's a profound poem. And you're a hero of it. That's it. Good luck.
Thanks.
That's a message from Miley. Hold on. Miley, you are a great doctor and we love you. Thanks for standing up for what right we have. We wake up many people in the UK and around the world. She's in McDonald's at the moment. We're telling her, don't eat the Happy Meals. Don't eat the Happy Meals. They're not happy. Yeah. All right.
What's in those burgers?
Oh, where do they follow Dave? Oh, we'll put all the links in the show notes. You know, get on Twitter, Dr. Cartland. Get on the Dr. Cartland there. That's probably the best. And if you can, if you find the time, send us an email. Send us all the links for your book and stuff. We've got a banned book company now. Books are selling, and we'll put it there, and we'll just send you the orders as they come through. We'll help it any way we can. Okay.
I'll pass all that on to you. Thank you ever so much, guys, for having me. Speak soon. God bless you.
Take care. Stay strong, brother. See ya.
Thank you.
This is Iv with John Hurt.
If you can keep your head.
Paul, you are sensational tonight, mate. Sensational you were, brother.
Thank you.
Good night.
If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated, don't give way to hating. And yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build 'em up with worn-out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they're gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch. if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And which is more, you'll be a man, my son.